Hi everybody, welcome back. Today I thought I'd do a very short presentation on investment appraisal. Sometimes when you're working, you'll be asked to quickly do some analysis on a new project or a new kind of venture, or very high level look at taking over a small business. And so these are some quick ways to do it, just to get some high level numbers. I'll dig into what's good and what's not and what ones I use, but running down them, it's the AIR, the accounting rate of return, which in my view is junk; payback, which I think is actually pretty decent; net present value, which everybody talks about, but in my view isn't actually very useful at all; internal rate of return, yeah, it's okay. It's better than NPR, but still not great. Weighted average cost of capital, that's actually got that in there as if it's an investment appraisal, but it isn't quite. And multiple of money, which is the best. Yeah, so in my view, it's payback and multiple of money, which are the best things to use when you're looking at a short-term investment, a small investment appraisal. But I'll run into the details. As ever, there is a spreadsheet available where these are set out in a formula in the description of the video. Thanks very much, guys. Let's dive into a spreadsheet. Hi guys, so I've made this file called investment appraisal. And like all my videos, the file's downloaded in the description of the YouTube. You can see here on the bottom I've got 7 tabs from accounting rate of return, payback, net present value, 4 internal rate of return, 5 WACC, 6 multiple of money, and turning to tab 1, the accounting rate of return, right? And so what this does is it takes the average profits over the lifetime of that investment and divides it by your average investment. So there's a couple of formulas feeding into the actual formula. And so the first one here is average investment. Well, we do that by taking the book value. So let's say it was 500,000 at the beginning of the period, of investment. Ooh. There we go. And at the end of the period, it was 1 million. Yeah. So we divide that by 2. So our average investment was £750,000. Put that there. And then the average accounting profits. Well, let's say it made 10 million over 10 years. So one over the other. It's obviously a million. Okay. This divided by this. Oops, sorry. Beg your pardon, got that the wrong way around. There we go. This divided by this equals 133%. Yeah, the average accounting rate of return is 133%. So that looks pretty good. I've obviously used some chunk numbers there. Right, I actually think that this is rubbish. And the reason, and I've never actually seen it used by anybody ever outside of an exam. Why does it suck though? Well, first off, it uses profits here to calculate it. Profits are rubbish. Everybody knows that you can manipulate your profits extremely easily by either releasing prepayments or accruing stuff. And every FD, financial controller, CFO has a secret cupboard stuffed full of accruals to weather the storm. So it's junk. What's the other big problem with it? Well, it doesn't discount money. What does that mean? Well, money earned in the future is obviously worth a lot less than money earned now. This doesn't have any discounting rate for those future profits because we're adding all of the profits up over the lifetime. It doesn't take into account any discounting, so it's not discounting future risk within this model. It's junk. As I say, though, I put it in here because for some reason examiners ask for it, but I have never seen that, and I can't imagine anybody really ever investing any amount of money in anything based on the accounting rate of return. Payback. Now, payback, tab 2, I actually quite like this. And what this does, this is how quickly you get your money back after you put your investment in. And you can see here, I've just put in an outlay of 35k. An inflow per annum of 15k. What that means is that we get our money back in 2.33 years. Now, I really like payback because intuitively, whenever I've been looking at any investment, I thought, how quickly do I get my money back? And this delivers it. The other thing also which I like about it, which is quite good, is that often when you put people on an earn-out, you buy a business and you put them on an earn-out, say they on an earn-out for 1 year, 2 years, well, that means that the businesses that you're acquiring, their EBITDA, their cash flow is paying for it, paying for the business itself. But what this does is this tells you how quickly you're going to start being able to utilize that business's cash for anything other than the deferred consideration. So Payback's really good. I'm actually going to highlight this in this tab as something which I think is worthwhile talking about. And wherever I've ever been looking at an investment appraisal, someone's always asked me, how quickly do I get my money back? Right, so net present value. When you're doing an exams, and I think also CFAs, I think they really love this stuff, net present value. And what this does is it discounts, using a discount factor, future cash flows to try and work out what the present value, i.e. money earned in the future, what that's worth now. And intuitively you could think, well, how much would you pay for someone to give you 20 quid in 10 years time? Well, I know I wouldn't give 20 quid now for 20 years for cash in 20 years time, but I might give 3 quid, gut feeling, sounds about right, to be given 20 quid in 20 years time. I don't know what the discount factor is on that, but that kind of shows you the relationship between the 3 quid that I'd pay now and the 20 quid that I'd get in 20 years time is my implicit discount factor. So when we look at this, right, what do? Well, we have all the years down on the left-hand side, and every single year we get the cash flows of the business that we're buying, which could be, I guess, be dividends, and we plug them in. So in the first year one, I'd earn 400 quid, year 2, 1,000, year 3, 1,200, year 4, 1,500, and the cash outflow is connected to that. Well, maybe I've got to pay some deferred consideration, maybe I've got to put a little bit more capital into the business, whatever it is, either way, I end up with a net cash flow. Yeah, I get the net cash flow each year of these, and then I apply my discount factor. And so what is the discount factor? Well, you can see here it's a formula which is 1 divided by 1 plus by, so basically plus by the percentage. What you're doing is you're calling it 101%, 102%, or in this case 120%. So this is saying 1 divided by 120% is the discount factor, which when expressed as a decimal point is 0.8333, gives a discounted cash flow of £250. Now, obviously, the discount factor is extremely important. What is it, right? What is the discount factor? Well, it could be arbitrary, like in this case, where someone has said, I want to make 20% on any investment I do. So that's one way I do it. You could do it. But really often what this actually is the WACC, yeah, which is your weighted average cost of capital, which is in tab 5, which is basically how much does it cost to borrow, yeah? So your required rate of return has to be more than what it costs you to borrow the same money, yeah? And so that's why the WACC is often connected to the NPR. But as you can see here, discounted all the way through, gives me, add up all of these discounted cash flows, gives me a net present value of 4,102, which means that if my initial investment on year 1 was £2,000, because the net present value of those cash flows is in excess of the £2,000 investment I've been asked to make, then it should go ahead. Yeah, or in reality, sorry, I've messed that up, right? In reality, this would go ahead because the cash outflows, 1,700, are way in above, or way under, sorry, the net present value of the investment. Now, when we went back to the required rate of return, right, one of the key things to remember here is the risk-free rate of interest, and that's your Bank of England base rate or your Fed funds rate. And that has been all my working life about 0 or 1% or 1.2%, and I actually think that might be a reason why net present value has fallen out of fashion and why I don't see many people use it, because basically no one under 38 knows the discounted value of money. Yeah, I don't really understand it. I'm only beginning to understand it. All of these people working for funds, they don't really understand it. They might claim they do, but no one under 38 has ever really seen the power of interest rates. So I actually think that that's why this has fallen out of favour. My gut feeling is with interest rates high, and remaining high, this is going to become more important. But I haven't really seen people use it that much in my career. The internal rate of return, well, this basically, what this does, I'll read it out to you. The businesses will use the internal rate of return to rank various projects by profitability and potential for growth. Basically, this is a discounted cash flow method, right? Where it works out what each internal rate of return is, yeah? What the almost what the discount factor is, yeah? Almost what this is, the required rate of return is, yeah? And so when I put in all the NPVs into here, it spits out an IRR. It's exactly the same, but it gives me an internal rate of return, yeah, of 23%. And you can see here, Excel's got an IRR formula. You can see here exactly the same. It gives me 35%. And what this is saying is that the project which has the higher internal rate of return you'd want to invest in, or alternatively, if your WACC is under your, so say if our WACC was 20% and our internal rate of return is 35%, mathematically we should invest in the project because we can make money from it. Again, I haven't really seen IRR used that much. I think probably because, you know, really in business, anything beyond year one is chaos. No one really knows what's going to happen. You know, it can go wrong, as the last few years have really shown us very, very quickly. So I think probably people don't really use it that much. I've used it a couple of times just to illustrate a point that something's a good idea, but I haven't really ever seen an investment decision made on it. I have seen an investment decision they made on Payback. WACC I'll skip by. I'm going to then talk about this one, multiple of money, right? The multiple of money is my favorite. And this is basically someone says, if I put £1 in now, what am I going to get back in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? As a rule, I've seen most people work on a multiple of money of 6 times, which means they want to put £1 in, and when they sell in 4 years, they want to get £6 out. It's really intuitive. It's really simple. It's your total cash flow in. So in this case, 500k, and total cash flow out, which is that divided by that, which is it's 30. Sorry, I've got these the wrong way around. That's embarrassing. Just going to skip those round. Yeah, so it's your total cash flows out. Oh God, sorry, this is embarrassing. Sorry, it's basically your total cash on sale. I'm going to rename this, yeah? Total cash on sale divided by total cash on purchase, yeah? And in this case, right, we've made 30 times our money multiple. I'm going to put something more realistic in. Yeah, 6 times. This is what most people are aiming for. Yeah, 6 times money multiple. The good thing about this is you can say, right, you put £1 in, you're going to get 6 times your money out in 6 years' time. But what are you missing here? You also get all of the cash flows from ownership up to sale, right? So this is kind of, if you can make the deal work on a money multiple of 6, there's always the kicker of the cash flows to ownership, right? And that's a really important piece, because often when you buy a business, people will buy cash. Last one I'm going to look at is WACC. I'm not going to go through this, okay, because it's kind of, it's self-explanatory. I've written it on screen. But what is the WACC doing, right? This is your weighted average cost of capital. And in the business, there's 2 types of capital. There's debt capital, and there's equity. And so if you have a mix of debt and equity, right, what is going to be the cost of each? Well, the cost of equity is going to be the dividends, and the cost of capital is going to be your interest rate. Yeah, and if you have 100k at 5%, 100k debt at 5% interest rate, and 100k equity at 7% dividend, you add them together, and you get your weighted cost of capital. Yeah, that is the reason I'm mentioning that is that will feed into your net present value required rate of return 20%, and also, which is nearly always, yeah, your MPR value is nearly always the weighted cost of capital. To be honest, I've only ever seen it as the WACC. I just put this in here at 20% because when I was looking at my exam papers from years ago, I made this spreadsheet out. But WACC is really important. Learn it in your head, right? In reality, most businesses that I work for are private businesses. You get rid of the equity element because there isn't equity, there's only debt. and that's what you work out as your weighted cost of capital, is essentially your borrowing cost, and you put that into your MPV calculations. All right, guys, well, that was a bit garbled, right? I'm hoping, really, to be honest, that the working file is of more use than my gibberish. As ever, please put some comments in there. I'll respond to all of them, and on any of my other videos. And if there's anything else that you want to see, please do let me know. I think this is probably not that a great video, but I wanted to put some content out. But the next one I'm going to do is going to be on setting up an intercompany matrix. I think that's probably a bit more useful to you guys. But if there is something you want to see, please do let me know. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.